Two visits by Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir to United States of America, Pakistani foreign ministers one-on-one meeting with the American Secretary of State in Washington. What message these all significant engagement sends across?
U.S. policy towards South Asia has undergone major changes under the Trump administration. India's destabilizing and erratic strategic behavior, both globally and regionally in South Asia. How Pakistan performed during the May conflict with India, not just in the military domain, but also in diplomatic domain and economic domain and information domain. US has finally realized that India lacks both the will and the capacity to meet US expectations regarding containment of China project, both globally and regionally. I think it's a combination of all these blunders as well as double game. And lastly, the continued New Delhi's commitment towards BRICS and de-dollarization has put icing on the cake.
There is a very significant remark by Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir while addressing Pakistani diaspora in the United States at Tampa. He said, in the coming days, we are expecting a very good news in terms of huge investment from United States into Pakistan.
If Pakistan can emerge as a bridge of peace, as a bridge which has goodwill and trust of China by offering its CPEC corridor, extending to Afghanistan, also simultaneously offers US tangible and lucrative incentives to invest in Pakistan's mining industry, offshore drilling, energy sector, then it will prove to be a US long-term investment in a peaceful, prosperous, and stable Pakistan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, over the last couple of months, Pakistan has witnessed an upward trajectory in its bilateral relations with United States of America. There have been a number of high-profile engagements between Pakistan and United States. Significantly, Pakistan's Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir undertook two visits to United States of America, first in June, during which he was invited by US President Donald Trump at the White House, and he had lunch with American president. Originally, meeting was scheduled for 1 hour, but later on it was extended to 2 hours. That was extraordinary thing. That meeting was also joined by Pakistan's National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Asim Malik. Later on, Pakistan's foreign minister, during July high signature event at United Nations Security Council, also went to Washington and held meeting with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So these are quite significant development. Just a couple of days before, Pakistan's Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir then undertook another visit to United States, where he was invited at United States Army's Central Command Headquarters in Tampa, Florida, during which he also held meetings with the top American military generals. So in today's publication, Britain's renowned newspaper Financial Times termed these engagement between Pakistan and United States of America extraordinary. And they said it's resurgence in bilateral relations between Pakistan and United States, and it's really amazing. So in today's conversation, we will discuss that what is this happening, why the United States of America is showing deep strategic partnership with Pakistan, and is with this partnership with Pakistan, does this mean that United States will be distancing itself now from India, and what will be the implications of these all strategic developments which are taking place. And in the backdrop of that, another welcome development which goes in Pakistan's favor, that US State Department declared Majid Brigade a deadly banned terrorist organization as a terrorist organization, and also declared it as banned terrorist outfit, put it on United States State Department list, which is quite significant. And in today's conversation, we are joined by Dr. Syed Muhammad Ali, Senior Strategic Affairs Analyst, who keep eyes on not only in Pakistan-America relations, regional development, international issues, South Asian affairs, and particularly during May 10th, the conflict between Pakistan and India. He had given an excellent analysis on what actually was the conflict between two countries and how Pakistan, within short span of time, won that conflict against India. Very warm welcome, Dr. Syed Muhammad Ali Saab, in Program Insight.
Thank you for having me, Mateen sir.
So I will begin with this, that over last months, Pakistan and United States has witnessed significant improvement in their bilateral relations, particularly strategic cooperation. Two visits by Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir to United States of America, one meeting the political and military leadership, then second one less than 2 months to CENTCOM headquarters in Tampa, Florida, and before that, Pakistani foreign ministers one-on-one meeting with the American Secretary of State in Washington. What message these all significant engagement sends across?
Thank you, Mateen sir, for inviting me on your very popular show. I think definitely I agree with you that U.S. policy towards South Asia has undergone major changes under the Trump administration. But I see this because of three major reasons. At the global level, President Trump has a different worldview in general, a different approach towards statecraft, whereas the second major reason is India's destabilizing and erratic strategic behavior, both globally and regionally in South Asia. And the third reason is definitely how Pakistan performed during the May conflict with India, not just in the military domain, but also in diplomatic domain and economic domain and information domain. So I think US has finally realized that India lacks both the will and the capacity to meet US expectations regarding containment of China project, both globally and regionally. And the reason behind that is because after the May 2025 conflict, the US military very accurately understood that despite spending $74 billion every year on its defense, which is almost 9 times more than that of Pakistan, India could not survive only few hours long military retaliation by Pakistan. So how can New Delhi be expected to counter China at a global and regional level? So I think the more accurate US understanding and assessment of India's lack of will and capacity to translate and convert US goodwill, exceptional access to cutting-edge military technology, exceptional access to nuclear technology, missile technology, joining of India of missile technology control regime, has not equipped India with the will and capacity to live up to its expectations in Washington and challenge China as Washington expects India to do. Secondly, the major reason is that despite the previous Biden administration considering and describing India as the most key partner in the Indo-Pacific strategy against China, India decided to send its intelligence officials to the US to assassinate the Sikh
Leader.
activists. And that is something which has really angered not just the US political leadership, but the US establishment, that here is a strategic partner of US deliberately sending its intelligence officials to assassinate US citizens in the US own territory. So that is something which has really angered US. The third reason is that Mr. Trump has attempted to use economic pressure and economic sanctions on Moscow to pressurize Putin into ending the Ukraine war. And at this time, when US has successfully persuaded most of the Western European allies, including most NATO members, who were heavily dependent on Russian energy, to reduce their energy dependence on Moscow, at this time, India decided to increase its oil imports from Moscow. Only last year, India imported oil worth $52 billion only from Moscow. And at the height, the daily import oil level was up to 2.1 million barrels per day. And at the current level, it is still around 1.8 million barrels per day. Now, this has really annoyed Trump administration because it is trying to isolate and economically pressurize Moscow. And so Mr. Trump considers this huge oil import bill by India as sponsoring Russian military campaign against Ukraine, which is against US interests. And the fourth important reason is that despite US offer to purchase the fifth generation most modern F-35 fighter, India is not interested in it, and India is still considering buying the Sukhoi 57 Russian fifth generation fighter because its air force is more comfortable with Russian technology because India thinks that Russia will probably transfer technology, unlike US as well. Now, all these factors have really angered the US, but last and most important factor is the protection that India has given to its farmers and industry and reduced in US market access to the large Indian market, which has really angered the Trump administration. So I think it's a combination of all these blunders as well as double game. And lastly, the continued New Delhi's commitment towards BRICS and de-dollarization has put icing on the cake. So these are the clear, deliberate, consistent Indian decisions not to protect or promote US economic, energy, security, or strategic interests, which has convinced Washington that India is not a loyal, not a reliable partner in Asia. Whereas Pakistan has proven a very responsible, very reliable partner, not just against the global war on terror, but also in maintaining stability in South Asia, despite Indian provocation, giving a befitting response, but not causing huge escalation. So and also welcoming President Trump's initiative to de-escalate this crisis, unlike India, which it is brazen-facedly declining and refusing. So these things have convinced US that in South Asia, Pakistan is a very reliable and responsible partner, unlike India, which is, culminated in the recent, mentioning of Majid Brigade, and this is the reward of Pakistan's behavior, its responsible statecraft, its cooperation in CT domain, and recognition of U.S. diplomacy in diffusing the conflict. All these things have culminated in the U.S. Sort of mentioning of Majid Brigade and BLA as the foreign terrorist organization, which means that U.S. Recognizes, shares, and appreciates Pakistan's security concerns against Indian-sponsored proxies like BLA and Majid Brigade.
Dr. Saab, it is Pakistan is a sovereign country, and whenever Pakistan engages with any Western country, including United Kingdom, United States, it's Pakistan's bilateral relations, which are not against any other country. Pakistan has every right to improve ties, cooperation, strategic partnership with any of the Western nation, including United States of America. So it has rattled New Delhi. And I would like to specifically seek your comments that Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir, other than engaging with the top CENTCOM officials at Tampa CENTCOM headquarters, also addressed Pakistani community and ripped apart Indian narrative on 10th May conflict and whatever false Indian claims were. That prompted New Delhi to make a statement against our army chief, which was rejected by Pakistani Foreign Office. How you see these developments? Army chief is addressing, presenting facts, and then India is making false accusations and then commenting on army chief's statement. Why it is so?
I think there are two reasons. Number one, Pakistan's Field Marshal Asim Munir was invited in the White House as a victorious general, whereas Prime Minister Modi was also invited by the U.S. president, but he avoided an audience with the U.S. president.
And that angered the American president.
That angered the U.S., absolutely. And secondly, I think in the forthcoming Quad summit, I expect some major problems between US and India. I think it is not a foregone conclusion that Trump will attend this at a time when it is really angry with India. So that is the second aspect is that US has recognized that not only Pakistan is more capable, but it is also more reliable and responsible partner and has emerged as a net security provider, as a net security stabilizer in this region. In fact, Marco Rubio appreciated Pakistan's role in de-escalating tensions with Iran as well. So that indicates that Pakistan's role in stabilizing only South Asia is not restricted to this region, but has been appreciated both by Iran and the US in case of the recent conflict in West Asia as well. And more recently, you would recall, Pakistan organized a major Chief of Defense Staff conference in which the outgoing US CENTCOM chief, General Kurela, as well as the military leadership of 4 Central Asian republics also participated. This proves that Pakistan, Mateen Saab, has emerged as a net security stabilizer, not only in South Asia vis-a-vis India and constant provocations from New Delhi, but in helped de-escalate the Middle Eastern and West Asian crisis, but also is shaping a group of countries which view terrorism as a common threat, which includes US and Central Asia. So in these 3 regions, Pakistan's stabilizing and responsible role has been appreciated. Another reason is that 2 major allegations have emerged from New Delhi. One from the Indian Ministry of External Affairs, and the second from the Indian Air Chief. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a somewhat irresponsible statement, making some unfounded allegations of nuclear blackmail, whereas the reality is that it was India which constantly tested Pakistan's patience and mettle over 96 hours. And when Pakistan responded, it was India which ran to the world powers to please to seek their help to protect from Pakistan's wrath, which was very measured, calculated. And another reason is that when the recent statement and claims made by the Indian Air Chief, that they downed Pakistan's fighter aircraft, are also not accepted by the leading world experts. Because during the conflict, it was India which sought foreign and international intervention to diffuse the conflict. This means they were closer to their pain threshold than Pakistan. Pakistan did not start this war. India started it. And India wanted to end it because the pain and the damage it had suffered as a cost of Pakistan's retaliation was unbearable for India. So I think India was closer to its nuclear threshold than Pakistan. Pakistan had not tested, demonstrated, used more than 10 to 20% of its capability. It was not in a panic mode. It was ready, it was capable, it was measured, and it was even ready for further escalation. It was India which decided that please de-escalate. And when I come to the Indian Air Chief's claims that it shot down Pakistani fighter aircraft,
it has triggered another debate. Exactly.
Absolutely. And I think that these claims have been rejected even by India's own leading strategic thinkers. And let me tell you a few reasons why I also think these allegations are without any evidence. Number one, it took Indian Air Chief 3 months to make these claims. Why is that? Because why, if the conflict had ended on 10th and 11th May, why he took 3 months to come up with these claims? He could have claimed these on the day one. And secondly, you remember in the recent Shangri-La dialogue, the Indian Chief of Defense Staff, who's the top military official, admitted that Indian Air Force had suffered damage, and he never claimed that India inflicted any damage on Pakistan. Thirdly, you would recall the Indian Air Attaché at a seminar in Indonesia said that we could not we were not allowed to hit in Pakistani military targets because the political leadership had not authorized us. So if the Indian political leadership had not authorized Indian Air Force to hit military targets, how can they hit Pakistani Air Force fighter aircraft? And the fourth reason is that Mr. Trump is a neutral leader, and they know very well, based on hundreds of American satellites, what is the reality. And that's why he said that Indian aircraft were shot down. But on the technical side, let me share 3 reasons why it is these claims are without any justification. Number one is that according to Indian Air Chief, it was S-400 surface-to-air missile system which allegedly destroyed Pakistani fighter aircraft. Well, if number one, if these S-400 were used against any Pakistani fighter, then there is only 2 possibilities. One, that Pakistani fighters crossed into Indian airspace and they were shot down. And if they were shot down in Indian airspace, then India should show to the international media the wreckage of those Pakistani fighters. Why are they hiding it? And secondly, those aircraft were flown by pilots. What happened to those pilots? You must have arrested them like we arrested Abhinandan. So where are Pakistani pilots? Please bring them before the international media. And even if they have not survived, then bring their their uniform or whatever as an evidence. That is also not true. Lastly, if these fighters were shot down in Pakistani space, then you know very well the entire international media, Pakistani public is free to roam around and find these aircraft wreckage. It is not possible to hide it. So I think all these, it is very unfortunate that the Indian Air Chief is not recognizing the sacrifices of India's own fighter pilots
Beautiful.
who died while fighting Pakistan. I have my sympathy with the families of the Indian fighter pilots who sacrificed their lives while fighting Pakistan. I think I sympathize with the families of the Indian Air Force pilots whose sacrifices are not being recognized either by the Indian Air Force chief or the political leadership. I think it's a very important thought-provoking point for all those young people who want to join Indian Air Force, that when they sacrifice themselves, their sacrifices will not be recognized, will not be appreciated, even by the service chief and even by their own national leadership. So I have my sympathies for them.
And just short while ago, Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, addressing Youth Convention in Islamabad, once again made it clear that it was Pakistani Air Force which shot down 6 Indian jets, and out of 6, 4 were Rafale. Now, coming to this high-level engagement between Pakistan and United States, there is a very significant remark by Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir while addressing Pakistani diaspora in United States at Tampa. He said, in the coming days, we are expecting a very good news in terms of huge investment from United States into Pakistan. What's your take? Which field this investment is expected?
I think it's a very important point, Mateen Saab, because now the current phase of Pak-US bilateral relationship is no longer restricted to defense cooperation or security cooperation or seeking economic assistance. I think Pakistan has also learned from experience, and our current military and political leadership realizes that offering tangible, substantive incentives for the US to build mutual cooperation is a wiser approach than just seeking relief and assistance. And the current US president also sees some important forthcoming opportunities for mutual benefit, particularly in terms of mining, exploring rare earth minerals, and also offshore drilling for energy exploration. And I think, as Mr. Trump had already pointed out, the matter is in its final stages of negotiations, and a company is likely to be selected to pursue and expedite this energy and mining collaboration. And this is very important for the US because, globally, the dominance of the US in terms of technology, in terms of cutting edge technology, heavily depends upon reliable and durable access of rare earth minerals, which are used to produce these cutting edge technologies. And I think the current phase of China-US rivalry over technological dependence heavily depends upon which country has reliable and durable access to rare earth minerals. And I think if Pakistan can emerge as a bridge of peace, as a bridge which has goodwill and trust of China by offering its CPEC corridor, extending to Afghanistan, also simultaneously offers US tangible and lucrative incentives to invest in Pakistan's mining industry, offshore drilling, energy sector, then it will prove to be a US long-term investment in a peaceful, prosperous, and stable Pakistan. And the recent mention of Majid Brigade and BLA as a foreign terrorist organization proves that the US now views Pakistan's stability, Pakistan's progress as a shared interest. And it considers those Indian-sponsored proxies like Majid Brigade, like BLA, as a threat to US national interests in this region as well. And that is why I think it's a great achievement of Pakistan's formal and military diplomacy as well.
Dr. Sahab, since Pakistan Jasn-e-Azadi is also approaching, I would like to seek your comment on one very important sentence made by Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir while addressing Pakistani diaspora, that have faith, trust, and confidence on Pakistan. So it was a couple of years back that some elements have been propagating to the Pakistani diaspora, not only in the United States, in other parts of the world, that Pakistan is not a trustworthy country, do not send remittances. And yet we have seen extraordinary remittances coming from abroad. So how you see this touching sentence, have trust, faith, and confidence on Pakistan, and Pakistan has a bright future to rise?
I think it's very important, and I appreciate Field Marshal Asim Munir for recognizing the critical role that Pakistani diaspora plays around the world in three domains. The economic domain, the first and most important domain is economic domain. The amount of foreign remittances that Pakistan annually receives from our overseas Pakistanis is almost equal to the total export revenue that the entire 250 million population of Pakistan generates. So it's a huge, valuable and sustainable source of economic strength for Pakistan. Secondly, these people play a very important role in the development of US as a society, as an industry, as an economy. And President Trump has also, on a number of occasions, appreciated the role that Pakistani community has played in improving the quality of life of American society. And so they are like informal diplomats of Pakistan. They represent Pakistan. And thirdly, in terms of showcasing Pakistan as a peace-loving, as a responsible, as a tolerant society, the cultural diplomacy is also very important, that they showcase and represent Pakistan's values. And so I think it is very good that Field Marshal Asim Munir recognizes the critical role that Pakistani diaspora plays in protecting and promoting our values and interests around the world, which are being increasingly recognized by world leaders. And those who are trying to discourage them or trying to make them doubt Pakistan's bright future are not Pakistan's friends. And as you rightly pointed out, the rising and continuous increase in Pakistan's foreign exchange remittances is an evidence that Pakistani diaspora has full faith, confidence, and trust in Pakistan's bright future.
One important thing is, that is my last question, we are running out of time, that despite bright future, Pakistan's strategic location in the region, growing relations with Pakistan and United States, and Pakistan as a stabilizer factor in South Asia, how you see Pakistan's future along with key challenges that Pakistan need to carry out economic reforms, Pakistan need to have its better industrial productivity, Pakistan need to have early energy reforms, governor reforms, how these reforms are important to make Pakistan economically more stronger?
I think that's a very important question, but since you are short of time, I'll identify three things which I think Pakistan's bright future depends on three timely and sustainable measures. Number one, I think political stability is critical because Pakistan's success in the conflict with India is also dependent on very cordial, respectful, and trustworthy civil-military relationship, which was manifested shared by both military and political leadership. Because if these civil-military relationships are harmed, then it will affect the strategic decision-making process, particularly during crisis and conflict. Secondly, I think Pakistan's future belongs to Pakistan's youth. And it is very important that they learn from our mistakes that previous generations have made, and do a better job at leading, saving, protecting, and promoting Pakistan and its interests. And I think we need to invest heavily in value addition in terms of their skills, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their opportunities, so that they not only build Pakistan as a stable society, as a viable economy, as a tolerant society, as a proud nation, as a secure nation. And they can convert their hard work and knowledge into their improved quality of life and a better image for Pakistan around the world. And the third most important challenge of immediate nature is definitely a durable and decisive campaign to eliminate terrorism and extremism from our society and all its foreign sponsors and local handlers, so that Pakistan becomes not only secure, stable, prosperous, and progressive, and can do justice to the potential that we and our great founder and had visioned.
Thank you so much indeed, Dr. Syed Muhammad Ali Saab, Senior Strategic Affairs Analyst, for shedding light on a number of important issues concerning Pakistan's role, future in the region, Pakistan's relation with the United States, Pakistan's role in stabilizing security at global and regional level, relations with India, and relations with the rest of the world. Thank you once again, despite your very busy schedule. You spared time and participated in our program, dear viewers. Till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.